Welcome back, brothers and sisters. In today's video, we are continuing our read of the Book of Monster Songs, my Kickstarter book from last year that gives you over 1,000 new ideas for your most classic RPG foes. And today, we're reading about the infallible angel, and our table will be, it takes the form of, or 1d6 appearances to the mortal eye, because I think it would be interesting if your angels didn't always look like a humanoid with beautiful angelic wings. In fact, this is just a kit bash I did a little while ago, but this is a print from Knucklebones. It's like some sort of weird, monstrous... It didn't even have the wings before. It was just like this floating mass of skulls and ruin, and I threw those wings on the back, and I added this like flamethrower bit, and it just kind of had me thinking, like, what if this was like an angel of the apocalypse, and it was down here to deliver ruin and death to all in their way, or to purge the non-believers of the gods from the world before it all fell to dust and decay, right? Just cool ideas like that. And so in this section of ideas, I'm going to share 1d6 ideas for you. If you are interested in this book, if you're interested in Monster Psalms, if you like the ideas I'm going to share, it is available for purchase on the church's website. There are still about like 30 or so hardcover books that are actually signed, and then there is the PDF as well that has all of it in just an easy to scroll PDF that you can print out. It even has little sections to put notes on next to each table if you want that for your session prep. So let's jump into this and let us pray. Idea number 1. What if the infallible angel takes the form of an awakened construct forged from blessed adamantium and powered by 1d12 demons imprisoned within its metal chest cavity? The demons are released if the angel is ever slain. So your angels aren't beings of flesh and blood. You know, you cut an angel, it doesn't bleed. They are beings of divine metal, and there's just a ton of ideas popping into my head of how you could do this. When an angel falls from the heavens, it falls like a meteorite. It is this giant hunk of twisted metal with infernal beings trapped within it that power it as maybe a form of penitence. These demons were at one point fallen angels, and the only way they can return back to their true heavenly kingdoms of light or the ocean or nature or whatever god they serve is to be imprisoned within these giant walking divine war machines and burn themselves alive basically for centuries or ages to power this thing to do their god's will. Angels are often like the servants of God. So what if this sort of takes that very literally into a bit of an extreme? These demons have to do what their gods tell them to do because they're trapped inside these prisons, and if they don't do what they're told to do, they won't be able to return to their heaven at any point. So this, I feel like this leans really well into some like heretical Inquisition type campaigns where, you know, maybe mortals were the ones who helped the gods build their angels at the beginning of time, or at the beginning of human civilization or whatever. The secrets to build these angels have been lost over the ages, and now people don't know anymore that an angel is actually a thing with a bunch of demons trapped inside of it. So if for any reason your party ends up coming into conflict with an angel and destroys it, or a ancient red dragon attacks a fallen angel, one of these machines, and breaks it open, suddenly all of these horrible dark secrets kind of pour back out into your world, and it could just lead to an entire like religious revolt against the gods when people start to realize like these angels are not what we thought they were. And even if it means that these demons are being punished, we have been praying to these angels thinking they were our saviors, when in fact they're the very things that have been tormenting us for our entire lives. Like, that would just be a very, very grim, dark, awesome campaign, I think. And then the direction you can go visually with an angel that is a construct as opposed to just a humanoid with wings is so cool. Like a god of, let's do not light, let's do something cooler. Let's do a god of death. God of Death builds their angel, and they have a bunch of demons trapped inside of it. What does this thing look like? Is it like a giant brazen bull type thing that wanders across with this big skeletal face blowing fire out of its like nostrils, and it has like giant twisted iron horns that it's able to like pierce heretics and things on, and like tramples through hell, destroying other demons? That would be freaking awesome. Or what if it is like a giant guillotine type machine, like its arms are just these huge guillotine type things that it just extends out and it lops off multiple heads at a time, and it stacks all of those heads in a giant basket that is on top of its like metallic frame that it just like burns from the inside, and it burns all the flesh off of these skulls like a pyre. Oh my gosh, like again, very grimdarky, but I think it would be really, really awesome. So that's idea number one. Angels are not beings of flesh, they are constructs. Idea number two, what if your infallible angel takes the form of a burning effigy made in their patron's image and kept lit by their worshippers for the past 1d8 centuries? The effigy can speak, but it cannot move, and you can also speak through it to your god. So an effigy, honestly, the thing that popped into my head when I was coming up with this was the idea of the Burning Man, this giant, huge straw man that people set aflame as a form of a ceremony or a ritual. But this thing, this angel, has just been burning forever. They never let the fires go out. And maybe the fire was lit when a martyr was burned alive at it in order to bring this angel to life. They gave their own mortal life so that this divine consciousness could form on the mortal realm. And through it, through these fires and through the sacrifices they throw into it, they can then commune with the gods. So this angel isn't a thing that can go out and solve all of their followers' problems. Doesn't have giant angel wings and this golden spear that it can lance through demons, and it soars through the air as this like miraculous thing. It is much more a true ritual. It is more about the symbolism and the knowledge that can be gained from this effigy or from this angel. When the party seeks out a divine servant of a god as part of their adventures, and they're able to go to it, it almost sort of can serve a similar role as like a sphinx. You're going to this thing to get information. You're not going to it because you need it to come help you slay an archdemon. Maybe all this angel can do is tell you what is the archdemon's weakness, or if maybe it could tell you the demon's true name as a way to help you defeat it. But I really like this idea of an effigy and being like a pyre that you have to burn things upon. It requires some sort of sacrifice. What is that sacrifice? I think that depends on the type of god that it serves, obviously. If this was an angel pyre dedicated to a god of nature, then maybe you have to travel deep into the dark fae and bring back the broken horns of some of the most foul monsters that terrorize that land. And only with those that you then throw into this pyre will they crackle and split and break open and reveal the name of this archdemon. And then what's cool about that is this idea that angels go out and perform miracles it has a new interpretation to it. It's not the angel that's doing it, but it's the angel that is sort of serving through the will of these martyrs or these heroes who take on its test or the miracle that they must go perform. And then together they sort of form this legacy of what can an angel do? Well, through the power of their believers, they can do anything. And then the miracles that and the blessings they bestow upon those people afterwards just lead on to kind of keep fueling this legend. And oh my gosh, even the idea of fueling a legend, fueling a fire, like, you know, adding kindling to it and building it up to some grand roaring bonfire just fits so well here, I think. But mainly what I just like about this idea is that the angel isn't even a construct. It's literally just like a religious item that you can speak through to your gods, and they can speak through to you if you go into like sort of trance-like states or do these very devout rituals all around. I think that's really cool. Idea number 3, the infallible angel could take the form of a flock of albino doves who spasm in silent agony while orbiting a cyclopean head. This is clearly inspired by the biblical depiction of angels, the halos with a bunch of eyes on them and all the wings around it. And I just thought, how could we make that creepier? How could we make that more grimdark or sort of eldritchy in its horror? So the rings was swapped out with albino doves. The reason I had them be albino is that they have these like just pure red eyes. And then, you know, when you see an angel, they have big white wings. So now you just have this flock of white wings and red eyes just all twitching and kind of breaking their necks and spasming all around as they orbit this cyclopean head. And I think you could really just lean into literally, maybe it's like a guillotined head or a decapitated head of like a demigod. Maybe that's what forms an angel when a demigod is slain. If their head or their skull can be collected and brought back to their god, they can give it a new life, and it falls down to the realm. It orbits down with these rings of doves that kind of carry it across the realm, delivering the words of their God. It sort of like preaches from this head, and people just fall in terrified devotion to it to hear the words it might speak. Or maybe because they're so horrifying, they go take shelter in the abandoned temples and cathedrals and shrines and those types of ruins of their God and look after them. Sort of kind of like how, when you think of a cyclops, they often live off on an island, or they live in a cave in either self-imposed, or humanity has driven them off to this island isolation. Work that into the idea of an angel. It is such a terrifying being. No matter how good it is in its spirit and heart, it is so terrifying to behold that even the followers of that God can't bring themselves to look at it. So it's been almost like driven off, or it's been shunned to go hold the most ancient secrets of its gods, or the forgotten prayers of its gods. And your characters have to seek out these angels and stand within its presence and hold firm in their faith and their bravery, even when they're looking at this thing, if they want to learn some sort of devout secret. So that's idea number 3, a severed head with a bunch of doves orbiting it. Idea number 4, your infallible angel could take the form of a beloved cult leader who openly proclaims themselves to be an angel despite showing no proof of their ability to perform miracles. Doubters are conscripted into 1d12 acts of agonizing repentance. This has me thinking, what if your world doesn't actually have angels? Like, they're not a thing. This works really well, I think, in a world that doesn't have a lot of direct divine intervention. The gods are out there, the gods exist, but you really only ever hear from them. They don't show up and do things, they don't send their children down to do things. But that doesn't mean that there are people out in your world who have not built up this idea that they are an angel. They're the first of the angels, and they have come here in the form of a mortal to spread the blessings of a forgotten god. And this is maybe how cults have started in your world. They don't worship demons. They're not sacrificing things to some eldritch power. It is merely I love this idea, actually, because it really leans into the idea of just how evil can humans be when they are fueled by greed and deception and power and all of the things that are antithetical to what the true gods of your realm might actually preach. These people have shown up, and they are putting on this masquerade of being some sort of divine servant who can do these miracles for people if they just keep attending these cult meetings. And maybe as people kind of get more ingrained into this faith and perceive this people to be an angel, the sacrifices start getting a little more evil or demonic, and the things that they're asked to do for these people become worse and worse. But hey, this person's an angel. Clearly we must listen to them, and if any harm were to befall this angel, then fire would rain down from the heavens, and we would slaughter the child of one of our gods. Of course we're not going to do that. So they protect this person with their lives, even though this person could just be a straight up normal mortal. Like, they don't have any power or ability, but maybe in a similar way as like a bard is just so charismatic with their lies, their deception is so convincing that they've gotten these people to buy into this idea that they're an angel. And how does your party go about defeating someone like that? Someone that they could easily just cut down, but doing that would cause almost more harm in the long term, or do more damage to these communities or these kingdoms than trying to bring them down through political means, or to reveal the truth, to find some sort of way to open these people's eyes and be like, look, this person is no angel. They are just like you and me. But how do you prove that? Because if you just go cut this person down, if you just fireball them, whatever you do with a murder hobo thing, then you might just ingrain their cult even deeper into their faith, because then that angel becomes a martyr. So that's idea number 4. Angels are merely mortals taking advantage of other mortals' faith. Idea number 5. What if your infallible angel took the form of a humble and unblemished priest's robe, which emits a blinding white light from its raised hood? The arms can be uncrossed to emit the same blinding light at the ends of both sleeves. So an idea that is not nearly as extreme as some of these others. I even used the word humble in there because I wanted something very understated for what an angel could be. It is just a priest's robe that is filled with the divine touch or the divine spark of a god's will. And you could put that anywhere. When a party enters an abandoned temple, the robe that is just kind of lying at the base of a shrine or a statue begins to drift up into the air, and it's filled with this brilliant light. And they look into the hood, and they like it's almost like when Gandalf appears. It's just like such bright, intense light. You almost can't look at this thing. And when it fights, it doesn't wield giant blades or have burning spears. It doesn't have wings. It's just a priest's robe. That's all it is. But that image of a priest's robe, the understating of it, I think, is what makes it so cool and what kind of makes it feel terrifying in its power. It doesn't, what I think it stands for is faith, and divine power does not need to be some grand epic thing. Faith is such an internal thing to so many people. It's a thing that's intangible, that just a plain priest's robe with this power within it that you can't see and can't really touch, I think is really cool and really interesting. And other directions you could kind of take that, I said in the idea that it was an unblemished priest's robe. But what if it was one that had been like a martyred priest and it was blood stained? Their white robes stained with red blood, and that is what acts as an angel, and that's what kind of brings angels into existence when a cleric is cut down in battle. Their armor could become that same thing. Like, that's a little grander, not by much, but a little grander than just a priestly robe, but armor filled with divine light, that divine soul trapped within it. That's a cool idea actually for clerics or any sort of priestly character. What if when they died, they could choose to seal their soul within their garments, basically their blessed robes, whatever they're wearing, and serve the rest of their life as an angel? And that's kind of like the destiny of many followers if they are true to their faith. I think that could be really, really cool. Another little random idea popping into my head that isn't necessarily related to angels, but like the idea of a priest's robe kind of floating around a temple. It has light kind of shining out of it. That sort of sounds like a ghost. And so what if people often mistake angels as ghosts, or like, and that's, I mean, this makes perfect sense. So many times in religious visions and things, it's like the spirit of someone has come to you, or you see the visage of the priest or the prophet or whatever, right? So a glowing priest's robe who could have anybody's face kind of appear in that hood could very easily be mistaken for a haunting or something like that. Like the heretic. Ooh, here's a cool idea. Totally random, but like if there's a village and there's a cult going on in it, maybe the cultists, the heretics, see this thing as a ghost and they're terrified of it. Whereas the loyal followers see it as what it is, like it is an angel. And then the party kind of can start to, if they ever go down this route of this little random adventure, then they can start to figure out who was a member of this cult based off who has what reaction or who has heard what about this supposed ghost. I think that could just be kind of cool. But anyways, idea number 5, your angels are merely floating priestly robes with divine light shining out of them. And our final idea for this video, the infallible angel could take the form of your perfect clone, clad in pearlescent plate and made free of all of your outer, but not necessarily inner, flaws and sins. So this version of an angel in your world is extremely personalized. Every time a mortal looks upon an angel, they see a version of themselves, and they see the best version of themselves, at least from a physical standpoint, right? They see, like, if I dedicated myself to this God, and I was devout, and I served them unflinchingly, and I went on to do these great deeds in my mortal life, I am certain beyond a doubt this is what I could be. I think that's really cool for a couple reasons. It's a way for angels to just inherently, through their very being, inspire mortals to go on to be better than they are right now, to look upon the followers of their gods and call upon them to take up their holy texts and use them for good instead of selfish means or things like that. But more interestingly, I mean, that's cool, but what I think is really interesting about this idea is that it notes that the angel, while free of any scars or things like that the mortal might have, they still bear the internal scars. They are just as capable of sin or corruption or wrongful act at times. And where I think you could work this into a story, work this into your campaign, is if you've got a cleric in the group or a paladin who needs some sort of mentor or their patron saint or the thing that gives them their power or whatever when they commune with their god, this angel can be the thing that shows up to talk to them. And sure, at the beginning, the paladin or the cleric has no idea about the truth of this angel. They just see them as a perfect being. But then as the campaign progresses and the party starts to have to make difficult decisions, and the paladin or the cleric struggle to uphold their oaths or their vows or tenets or whatever, then this angel can reveal to them this great secret that yes, I may look perfect, and that is a useful tool for our God to inspire people like yourself. But you need to understand that I did not get to where I am today. I did not become an angel because I was perfect. This visage you see is a gift from the gods, but I had to go through the same trials you went through. And here I stand, a demigod of sorts, or a chosen messenger, or a chosen warrior of our shared God. And that is a fate you can still share in. You are able to achieve this, even if you feel in this moment you are at your lowest point. That's what I think is really cool about this idea of an angel's appearance, because it's not even about the appearance. It's about what kind of lies beyond it or within it, the thing that you can't really see with your mortal eye. And that also just bleeds so well into what is so common in clerics and paladins, this idea that the things that they hold onto most dearly aren't physical. They're not tangible. And if you ever feel like your characters or the players are kind of starting to forget that or need a reminder of it, you can have an angel show up looking just like them to remind them of this. I think that would be really, really fun. But that will do it for list number 1 from the infallible angel. Make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to the church, because next time when we continue reading the Book of Monster Psalms, we're going to look at the angel smites evil, table number 2, which is going to be 1d8 means to smite the wicked. So cool abilities or weapons or things you can give your angels to make them complete badasses in combat. We've kind of done, maybe for some of you, the boring aesthetic part of an angel. What do they look like? Now we're going to get into how do you just make them an absolute being of divine fury on the battlefield. It's going to be so cool. And also don't forget, you can pick this up on the church's website. I've got that linked down in the description, so go check that out. And also, the Doom Kickstarter, or the Doom Stronghold Kickstarter, is live as of time of recording here. It's already been funded, and so now we're just looking to hit some of those stretch goals. If you're not familiar with this project, Doom Stronghold is a zine that I am making myself. It is very DIY, so that's why I'm able to add this ribbon spine bookmark and stuff, but it is a bunch of random tables for your strongholds. There's ideas for your strongholds, ideas for the people that work in them, the adventures you can go off and serve around your stronghold or even within it, like what dungeons are hidden below it, all that kind of stuff. So go back that, or if you're watching this in the future, you can snag the Doom Stronghold on the church's website as well. But thank you all for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, pay your hobby tithing, and we say these things in their unholy names. Amen.